New Chinese brand Jaecoo has expanded its range already with this, the J7 SHS Summit. Now, SHS stands for Super Hybrid System. That's because this is a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with almost 100 k's of claimed EV driving range. It's also got a petrol engine as a backup, and it's got plenty of great spec and tech and an attractive price point too, plus a long warranty. I'll tell you all about it in this review and the best alternatives to it. So stick around. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell, and let's get to it. If you haven't seen my earlier review of the Jaecoo J7, it might be worth checking that out, especially if you are shopping on a budget, because there are some more attractively priced versions of this vehicle available. At the time I filmed that review though, I didn't know how attractively priced it would be, and now I do, and I can share that with you. So the entry-level version is called Core, and it's a front-wheel drive turbo petrol with plenty of great spec and tech, and it starts at just under $35,000. And if you want a few extra features, well, the track mid-spec front-wheel drive version could be the go for you. It's just under $38,000. And if you're thinking, well, I need all-wheel drive as part of my life, we can get that in the Ridge all-wheel drive version, and it adds a few extra features that you might really appreciate. It gets 19-inch alloy wheels. It also gets a fake leather interior trim with ventilated and heated front seats. It also gets a big panoramic glass roof, just like this high-grade version right here does. It's the SHS Summit, and it does have that plug-in hybrid powertrain, and it still comes in at less than $50,000. This one does have heaps and heaps of spec and tech, things like full keyless entry with push-button start with a proximity unlocking system, a bigger touchscreen media system on the inside here, a digital instrument display for the driver, plenty of great features, some really great amenities. Unlike the models below it though, it doesn't get a spare wheel, just gets a tyre repair kit, and it also loses out on a heated steering wheel. But it does have distinctive design elements, and of course, the claimed EV driving range is a big eye-opener, 90 k's of EV possible. And I'll tell you whether that is possible in a little bit, but let's talk about some alternatives to this that you might want to consider, some plug-in hybrids and a couple of other ones that you might want to think about. Okay, if you're thinking a budget-friendly plug-in hybrid electric SUV like this, well, you have to have a look at the BYD Sea Lion 6. It is a fantastic choice, and it's very, very value focused. The entry-level version of it starts at around 43 grand, and while it doesn't have as rich a specification list as the top-spec all-wheel drive at 53 grand, it is still very, very budget-friendly, and it could be all the plug-in hybrid you really need in that entry-level version. And it's got more EV driving range as well, more than this too, so just over 90 k's is what it claims, and it is achievable as well. You'll see some links in the description below for my reviews of the BYD Sea Lion 6 model range. I've done a couple of them. Another one that you might want to check out, which I've also reviewed, link in the description, is the GWM Haval H6 GT plug-in hybrid. I was pretty impressed by that vehicle, and I think it's the best example of the Haval H6 to come so far. It does have a good amount of EV driving range on offer. Like, the claim is 180 k's, so it is going to be a very commuter-friendly option for those who don't want to spend as much as, well, some of the other options out there in this segment. But it also has a really good list of standard equipment with a pretty impressive price point, just over 50 grand for that one too. And if you're thinking, well, what else is there that I could consider? I don't necessarily think I need a plug-in hybrid. You could go and have a look at the Toyota Corolla Cross. It's brilliant, it's very efficient, very comfortable, very nice to drive, and very likable. But in terms of the competitiveness on price and spec, not quite there compared to some of these Chinese rivals. So, which one would you pick? How do you say in the comments? There's no difference in terms of the dimensions for the SHS plug-in hybrid version of the J7 compared to the other ones. So that means it is a very urban-friendly 4.5 meters long on a 2700 millimeter wheelbase. You'll see all the dimensions on your screen right now. And yes, it is a very attractive looking vehicle. It does have a few differences compared to the other models in the range. It gets different wheel covers, as you can see there. Still nice big alloy wheels, and it gets different mirrors too. And one thing that I really do like about this car is the way that it has this proximity unlocking system. So these door handles will pop out if you walk up to the car with the key in your pocket, or pop away if you walk away. So that is really, really great tech. And it means that the back doors will also be unlocked for you, which is bloody brilliant if you've got your hands full with kid or kids stuff. Now, let's have a look in the boot, because there is a bit of a story to tell here, and it's maybe not necessarily a great one for the hybrid model, because the petrol front-wheel drive version has a much bigger boot. I'll put the figure for it on your screen now, 424 litres. That's decent for a car of this size. This one, a bit smaller, 340 litres, not fantastic. But let's have a look underneath the boot floor. And you do have some partitioned bento box style storage underneath there, and a tyre repair kit, because this one is the only Jaecoo J7 that doesn't come with a spare wheel. It also has some extra features in the back here. You've got these little pop down hooks, you've got lights, there's a 12-volt port there, and you get a cargo cover included too. So just don't go thinking that you're going to get all the boot space in this plug-in hybrid version. Okay, here we go, people. This is the interior of the Jaecoo J7 in this Summit top spec grade, and let me tell you, it does have a fair bit of wow factor. Even though it is a little understated compared to some of the other SUVs in this segment, there are some really great features. I want to talk about the material finishes and the design first. So I really like this sort of crosshatch finish on there, these rubberized elements up on the dashboard, and softer finishes up the top too. Plus you've got the ambient lighting in this high grade version, which flows on the doors to the back doors too, and it does all feel pretty bloody nice, I have to say. Even the carpet mats, wow, they're pretty special looking. They sort of match the headlight design, and I really like them. I think they add some flair in here. And obviously you've also got a fake leather steering wheel, and these seats, well, they are a fake leather trim, but pretty comfy, pretty good, I would say, although they are a little bit hot feeling. But you do have ventilated seats if you want to cool things down, and you've got heating for those seats as well. And even this nifty little feature here, like you might see in some Hyundais and Kias, so you can remotely adjust the passenger front seat if you need to allow room for someone to get in the back there. Very, very nice tech. Nice soft elbow pad here as well, and it's an openable glove box with cooling, and it's an openable compartment with cooling in there. That's a bonus. Cup holders here, a wireless phone charger there with a ventilation system, so it will stop your phone from overheating in theory. That one there is just a blank pad though, so it doesn't have dual wireless charging, but there is a massive section underneath there for extra storage. It's got a nice rubberized mat as well, so things shouldn't move around too much. And it's got some charge ports down there, 12-volt and USBs. And in the doors, well, you don't have lining there, but you do have nice big pockets, plenty of storage. You do have these little line sections inside the door grabs, which is good. And your door handles are pretty nice. But I don't like these window switches. So when you think which way is up and which way is down, if up is forwards, no, up is to put the window down, and down is to put the window up. So that got on my nerves over my time with this car. And then there's also this big panoramic glass roof with an opening section. So if you do want to actually open the sunroof, that's pretty neat, and you can add plenty of light to the situation in the back there for your rear seat riders. It is a big glass roof, and it does add to the nice factor, and it's a nice thick covering as well. So it shouldn't well, be too hot in here for everyone. There's one other thing I want to talk about before we get to the screens and tech. It's this rear view mirror. It is bloody terrible, I have to say. I've called it out in previous Omoda reviews. This is what they originally came with, this auto dimming mirror with too much convex. It's kind of like a passenger mirror rather than a look out the back window mirror. And it's terrible, I have to say. It's really bad, but your side mirrors are quite large. They do help out a lot. And then you've got the surround view camera system, which is also very, very good. Let me just show you that right now. And yeah, you can see there's multiple different modes. If you do want to take matters into your own hands, if you want to see what's going on the screen, you can adjust all these different elements on screen so you can see what you can see around what you can't see. So that's kind of good, isn't it? Now, this screen here is a big unit, and it will take some getting used to, but I do think that it is relatively good in terms of the menus and the controls on offer here for such a large screen. So you do have a built-in navigation system, and it's pretty quick to react. It's pinch to zoom, it's got charging ports locations. If you do want to find out where your nearest charger is, then you can do that on there. And if you prefer to use your Apple CarPlay, well, it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is a bonus. It's very quick to react. And if you're wondering, well, where did my controls for the climate go if I am using this screen? Well, you just have to swipe up down there, and then you can turn on the fan and adjust your climate system like so. Yes, it is all on screen. You can use voice. If you prefer to use voice, you could say something like, "I'm here. Turn up the temperature to 22 degrees. Okay. And for some reason, it doesn't actually do that, but at least it listens. Sometimes that's all you need. And look, you can also adjust your seat comfort, so you can turn on your seat heating or your ventilation all on screen there. And there's also different settings for different adjustments for the climate system. So all the stuff that you need is just a tap away. I just wish that would stay there permanently. It just would make things a little bit easier to get around. Now, let's talk about this on-screen menu display unit, because wow, there are so many menus on this screen. I'm not going to go through all of them. So if you are looking for that, maybe go into a Jaecoo dealership and have a look for yourself, because there is plenty to go through. But there are some ones I want to talk about specifically. If you want to, you can adjust this display and also the display over here to tell you how much dynamic mileage you've got to go, or how much maybe more optimistic mileage is left on the battery pack. And then you can also just have it as a battery level percentage. So that will change the display over there. And it's nice to see that you can have it in dynamic, so it will adjust based on what you're doing. Now there's also, beyond that, a number of other controls. So you can customize your steering wheel buttons if you want to. So that's good to see. If you want to set up the little star button there, you can make it be one of those things, including driving recorder capture. So that is if you have the dash cam, which is up behind there, configured, it will basically give you a chance to use that dash cam system at the touch of a button and, well, record what's going on. So that's pretty nifty tech, I would say. There's much more to this screen and these controls. Obviously, you can go through here to adjust your head-up display, or you can do it on the steering wheel controls if you want to. Yep, that's the head-up just there. And it's pretty good, I have to say. If you want it to be blue, then you've got snow mode, and that does actually make it a little bit more easy to come to terms with, in my opinion. You've got your driver assistance systems, so there's plenty, as you can see, multiple scrolls of the screen there. But if you just want to get to things a little bit quicker, so long as you have your foot on the brake, you can use this drop-down section to adjust things like your lane departure, your driver monitoring camera system, which is this little unit there that's looking at your eyes, and a number of other things there, as you can see. So that's pretty nifty. You can adjust the ambient lighting if you do want it to be a different color. It was yellow because my daughter likes yellow, and you can even link it up to the music. Other things, you know, you can adjust your seats through the screen, you can adjust the sound through the screen, the display, your system, all that stuff. If you want to put a different wallpaper on, then happy days, you can do that. So that is pretty nifty tech, I would say. And this screen, like I said, it will just take a little bit of time to get your head around, but I think that you will enjoy it once you do have your head around it. Now, let's have a look at this steering wheel and some of the controls on here. They are piano black. I don't like that, but they are backlit, so that's good. You've got your media controls, and that one's configurable, as I said. Over here, you've got your cruise controls, and you can do some adjustments there too. You've got a wiper and blinker and light stalk on that side, and a column shifter on this side. So yes, it's like a traditional column shifter, up to reverse, down to drive, and park button on the end. Down here there is some extra controls for your lighting. You've got a little storage box too, and you can see there it does have a Sony sound system. So all the stuff pretty well catered for, including vanity mirrors with illumination and a little ticket holder there. So yes, I think this is a pretty well designed, thoughtful cabin. But let's check out the back seat space, shall we? Okay, this seat is set for my driving position. I'm 182 centimeters or 6 foot, and I've got lots of room, lots of leg room, a decent amount of foot room, and the headroom in the back here is very, very good. So if you've got tall teens, I think you'll be happy with the amount of space in here, and so should they be. Apart from this little minor consideration, there's just one directional vent in the back here. So you can adjust where the air goes, but it'll only go to one side of the cabin. That could be annoying if you've got more than 2 kids. It might start fights. So that's a little bit of a downer. You've got USB A and C ports down there too. You do have multi-pocket pockets on the seat back, so you can put devices, lollies and other things there. And you've got bottle holders in the doors, soft elbow pads. As I said, you've got the ambient lighting. It all looks and feels pretty nice, I've got to say. And you've got ISOFIX points and 3 top tethers. So your kiddos, well, they'll be able to fit in here comfortably and they'll be taken care of with safety. You've also got some cup holders in this flip down armrest, so they'll be taken care of with convenience. They've also got this view out through the panoramic glass roof. There are grab handles in the back. There are lights back here too. All of that pretty well catered for. Like I said, it's kind of the complete package apart from that silly little misstep with the vent. Okay, for a bit of context, the lower spec versions of the Jaecoo J7 run a 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine with 137 kilowatts, 275 Newton meters, and that's whether you choose the front wheel drive or the all wheel drive models, and there's a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. This one here is the plug-in hybrid. As I've said, it gets a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol, but the maximum combined outputs for this powertrain are enormous. 255 kilowatts, 525 Newton meters. And look, you might not get all of that grunt all the time, but wow, that's a lot of grunt. It has a single-speed hybrid transmission and it has front-wheel drive only. There is no all-wheel drive version. And hey, that could be a consideration for you. It's also the heaviest of all the J7s at almost 1800 kg, but that's not necessarily a heavy mid-sized SUV. And if you're wondering about towing, I'll put some towing capacity figures on your screen now, and you can have your say in the comments. All right, let's go talk about range and charging. Okay, let's talk about this battery pack. So it's an 18.3 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and it offers a WLTP rated 90 kilometers of range. And it also has a pretty big fuel tank, but we'll get to that in a sec. Now, let me show you the charge port. It is on the driver's side at the rear. Yes, in a pretty conventional looking spot. But yes, we'd need to talk about the AC charge rate. 6.6 kilowatts, that's not very fast for a car like this, and it will mean a 25 to 100% charge time at 6.6 kilowatts of 160 minutes, which is just under 3 hours for those playing along at home. Then there is DC charging, which is a nice bonus at 40 kilowatts. So you should be able to juice this battery back up from 30 to 80% in 20 minutes if you are using DC charging. You've also got a little charge light there, which is handy, and it does give you a good indication of your charging capability. Plus you can tailor the charge times using the screen on the inside, and on the other side of the car is your fuel filler flap, and it's got a 60 litre fuel tank capacity, which is the biggest of all the J7s. Distance cruiser. It's an electric vehicle with a petrol engine that's available to you if you need it. If you do want to drive in EV mode, there's buttons down here to adjust things so you can run it purely as an EV. There's even a extended EV mode as well to basically get as much as you can possibly get out of the battery pack. So if you do find yourself needing to use all electric for as long as possible, you can do that. But yes, you've got this petrol engine on hand to back things up. And look, I've driven it as a hybrid as well, and I think it is really good as a hybrid. So it's just using the petrol engine, but just powering this system. Occasionally it'll still be driving in EV, even though the petrol engine's running. So it's a bit of a strange concoction here, but it does work well. And it's actually surprisingly livable. Like, you get along with this car a lot more quickly and a lot easier than some other new plug-in hybrid vehicles and other new EVs or other new Chinese cars for that matter. I think this is a very compelling thing in terms of the drive experience more generally. It's well-rounded. It is also pretty powerful. So in EV mode, you've got plenty of grunt. I'll put the kilowatts from the electric motor on your screen now, and we'll get to the efficiency of the electric motor in the next section of this video, but we'll also cover off more efficiency stuff there. And I'll also tell you whether I got the claimed EV driving range from a charge too in that next section. But let's talk about the drive experience. It's good. It's perfectly fine. I think you'll get used to it pretty quickly, like I said. Thankfully, safety systems, pretty unobtrusive. So you do have a speed sign recognition system. If you mute it, it will stay muted. And then there's the driver monitoring camera system, which is probably the only thing that might give you the shits occasionally. If you focus on the screen for too long, it will bing at you a little bit, but it's not as frustrating nor as incessant as some of the others out there in this segment or in the segments above. So I like generally the technology integration here. I also like the drive experience more generally. Like, it's not the most thrilling thing to drive. The steering is adequate. It's not engaging or super involving, but it does feel pretty trustworthy in terms of the responsiveness. If you don't think of yourself as an enthusiast, I think you'll be perfectly fine with the way this vehicle handles itself through corners as well. And then you've got the ride comfort, which is not too bad. Now remember, this is a slightly heavier example of the J7, and it does feel a little firmer sprung than the petrol versions that I drove earlier on, but it's still agreeable in most situations. This is a bumpy street near my place, and I test lots of cars along here just to see how much I get moved around in the cabin, and it's not too much in this car. It's pretty well sorted, pretty comfortable, and while it is a bit on the firm side, if you appreciate that in a car, I think you will like this one in terms of the drive experience. Now, of course, there are different drive modes you can pick from as well. There's normal, eco, and sport. I've primarily been spending my time in normal. Sport does make things a bit more speedy feeling and a bit more assertive with the responsiveness, and eco dulls things down a little bit in terms of, well, basically everything. It also makes it feel a little bit different in terms of the regen braking in my experience, but generally the regen is pretty good. It's not as assertive as some other full EV models or more aggressive hybrids, but it does still have a good responsiveness to the regen braking. So when you take your foot off the accelerator, it will not go down to like a full stop very rapidly. It does go down to about walking pace gradually. So that's actually pretty nice in terms of the drive experience, I would say. Rightio, so first and foremost, did I get 90 kilometers of EV driving out of this vehicle? No, I didn't, but I got very close. You'll see how far I got on screen right now. And look, I didn't go into the emergency EV mode. I didn't want to try and eke every single kilometer out of it, because there's basically a warning that says you probably shouldn't do that because it's not great for the battery to do that. But still, it's good. A good amount of EV driving range, a commutable distance, I would say, for a lot of people out there. So yes, it's probably going to do the job if you are that person. And then obviously you've got the petrol engine, which will kick in to take things over in hybrid mode. And as I said, you can elect to be in either of those modes using the little buttons down there. And then we need to talk about this combined fuel consumption figure, which is 1 litre per 100 kilometers. You might achieve that for the first 100 if you're very, very careful with the way you drive. But look, I always say that plug-in hybrids with those sorts of crazy low figures, it's better to consider that as a best case for your first 100, and then your next 100 has to use more because it's got to use the petrol engine to keep you going. So if you're wondering what I've seen over my several hundred Ks, I'll put up the number for the first 100 now, and then I'll put up the number for the second 100 to tell you sort of what you can probably expect if you do run out of range. So yeah, I think it's surprisingly efficient. And like I said, it does have the biggest fuel tank capacity of all the J7s at 60 litres. And you do need to keep in mind the petrol engine needs premium unleaded. So that might also factor into considerations. But honestly, pretty good drive experience, pretty efficient, pretty bloody likeable, I have to say. The Jaecoo J7 plug-in hybrid model has a 5-star Euro NCAP rating from 2025, so it has all the tech and spec that you would expect to achieve that kind of score. Things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection. There's also lane keeping assistance and advanced lane keeping with advanced cruise control, so it can stop, start and steer for you in some situations on the highway. There's also blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, with braking. The entry-level version has a reversing camera and rear parking sensors, but if you step up to the track, you get a surround view camera and front parking sensors as well. It's a very good camera system, I have to say. And there's also a number of innovative features like a child presence detection system so you don't leave anyone behind, a built-in dash cam system, and of course it's got some of those annoying features that might get on your nerves. There's a driver monitoring camera system, but thankfully it's not too frustrating. And there's also speed sign recognition and warning too. So thankfully you can mute it and it will stay muted. I love that about this car. Now, when it comes to airbags, in the entry-level version, you are getting 7 airbags, dual front, front side, and full-length curtain coverage, plus a front center airbag. And if you choose one of the higher grade versions, you also get a driver's knee airbag. That's a bit weird, but that's just how it is. In Australia, Jaecoo is offering an 8-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and that is promising stuff. It might be enough to get you over the line for this vehicle. Plus, there's also an 8-year cap price servicing plan on offer. You'll see the servicing intervals on your screen now, and the average service cost over an 8-year cap price servicing plan is $421 per visit, which isn't too bad, I would say. And then there's the roadside assistance factor. So if you do service with Jaecoo's network of dealerships, well, you'll get a year of extra roadside assist up to a maximum of 8 years included. So it stacks up pretty well on the ownership front, and really the ownership benefit for this plug-in hybrid model is going to be your ongoing running cost because, well, it is extremely efficient and you can run it on EV when you need to. The Jaecoo J7 plug-in hybrid is one of the most compelling choices that you could make if you're trying to save money, but you still want to do your bit because, well, it's got good EV driving range. It's pretty efficient when it's not running on EV, and it's pretty nice to drive more generally. And I actually think it's one of the better examples in this segment for the livability factor. So would you pick this or one of the alternatives I mentioned earlier on, or something completely different? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.